Namaskar. Once again, on behalf of Team Center for Education Development Foundation, I welcome you all to the fourth day of the very specific series which is happening, which has been discussed on national education policy. Today's topic, reforms in teacher education, which means teacher education is a major factor in improving teaching quality. Friends, the purpose of educational reforms is to transform school structures with the aim of raising the quality of education in a country. We are all today we'll be discussing today here to raise the quality of teacher education or education standard in our country. Education reform deserve a holistic examination of their reasons, objectives, applications, and results generated by those within the school system. A common grading set, all of you all might be knowing, a common grading set of national professional standards for teachers, that is NPST, will be developed by 2022 by the National Council for Teacher Education, and professional standards will be reviewed every 10 years, which has been mentioned in the national education policy. More to discuss today, we have with us Chandrabhushan Sharma ji, who is a professor of education at the School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi, an educationist, a person who is leading as an education, I believe a true educator and true educationist who is guiding the entire teaching community. He has served as the chairman of National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, I think from April 2015 to April 2020 for 5 years. So it's a great privilege for the entire teaching community, teachers, edu leaders, school leaders connected in the Facebook, today connected in directly in the Zoom. So on behalf of everyone, I warmly welcome you today to the fourth day of this session as the keynote speaker. Namaskar, sir. Friends, we have today to co-chair the session, Madam Dr. Tanya Gupta. Madam Tanya Gupta, the principal Army Institute from Army Institute of Education, Greater Noida. I think she has a lot of experience in the field of education, and when we talk about reforms in teacher education, her input in every topic, it may be our revamping a regulatory framework or the challenges of teacher preparation, or every teacher is looking after a competency, or you can say continuous professional development training to happen. How this need to be worked out. After each and every speaker, automatically ma'am will be putting up her view, but certainly I'll request her today in the beginning to speak on why this topic, reform in teacher education, how and what has been mentioned in the policy, and when we have taken up this thing, what we are expecting from the educators or the speakers, the SEDEX speaker, to speak on. So let me first of all take the privilege to welcome Dr. Tanya Gupta. Before that, I would love to introduce today's all other SEDEX speakers of the day. SEDEX speakers of the day are: first speaker to speak on today, SEDEX speaker number 1, Madam Archana Narayan, Principal, the Indian High School, Dwarka, New Delhi. She'll be speaking about the 4-year B.Ed program. What role can school play in this? That will be focusing. I think every SEDEX speaker is given 8 to 10 minutes time to keep their view. And of course, after everyone's view, Madam Dr. Tanya Gupta will be putting up her final comment. The second SEDEX speaker of the day, Mr. Rajiv Garg, Principal, Datta Mega World Academy, Navi Mumbai. Sir, namaskar.
Namaskar, sir.
Good evening. Take care of yourself. Very good evening, hope you are well there.
Mumbai. Yeah, absolutely fine, sir. Absolutely fine.
I missed Archana Narayan ma'am also. Good evening. Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Namaskar. I'm very much.
Thank you. Right. Third speaker of the day, third SEDEX speaker to talk, and Rajiv Garg sir will be speaking on revamping regulatory framework. Friends, we have third speaker, Dr. Rashmi Rekha Saha, Principal, Jaipuria School, Navi Mumbai. Ma'am, namaskar, good evening. Ma'am will be speaking on continuous professional development.
Namaste, sir. Namaste.
Namaskar. Challenges of teacher preparation for Anganwadi. That is a hot topic. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker, T. Prem Kumar sir, very seasoned and experienced person. T. Prem Kumar sir, Principal, Indian Educational School, Kuwait, and he is looking after the Gulf schools, mentor of CBSE schools. Sir, warm welcome to you. Hope Prem Kumar sir is connected.
Yeah. He's
yes,
there.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Namaste to all.
Yes, sir.
Namaste.
Thank you very much. Namaskar. And finally, the fifth SEDEX speaker. Very close to me, Dr. P. Ravi, Regional Director, National Institute of Open Schooling. And he will be speaking today, promoting action research and publication among school teachers and principals. Sir, namaskar. Good evening.
Namaste. Namaste.
बहुत धन्यवाद. So fantastic. I think we have all the 5 speakers today. Fantastic discussions to happen. So let me take the permission from Professor Shivi Sharma sir, the keynote speaker, to start up the session. Sir, I would like to request Dr. First of all, before I invite Dr. Tanya Gupta, let me request Professor Shivi Sharma sir. Sir, why not you give us a directions how what all is mentioned in policy, reforms in education, teacher education. Everyone is wondering. Everyone is thinking about, let it be a foundation way, let it in the Anganwadi, or how the foundation learning, teacher training to happen, starting from that place to till the higher grades. So how these trainings and what all have been implemented, been mentioned, and what are expected from the school leaders or school principals to do it in the days to come. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Priyadarshi ji. And my namaskar to everyone, Tanya ji, and all the other speakers who I can see here. Thank you to Global Talk Education Foundation and Center for Education Development for organizing this. Under the overarching topic of revisiting issues in schooling post NEP 2020, today we will be discussing about teacher education. I think it was not a coincidence that you had a prayer like this.
Yes.
तुमरे बिन हमरा कौन सहारा, और तुम ही कुछ कर सकते हो भगवान. अब टीचर एजुकेशन का और कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. भगवान को एकदम सही याद किया आपने और उन्हीं को कहा कि तुम ही कुछ करो तो करो, अदरवाइज तो कोई रास्ता है नहीं. I think it was very appropriate. But on a serious note, I think the NEP 2020 started with a discussion on teacher education. 1993, it was established. The National Council for Teacher Education was established. 1995, it started working. And we had a tough man, Professor J.S. Rajput, as the first chairman of the NCT. A large number of teacher education institutions were forced to close. I remember that degrees awarded by a particular state were all declared null and void. Those teachers have not been able to get a job till date because they were considered to be sold for a price. Unfortunately, 2015, we had in 2012 the J.S. Verma Commission report, which again cracked down on it. It was on the behest of the Maharashtra High Court that we had the J.S. Verma Commission. I was part of it. We reviewed all the colleges of Maharashtra. I visited a large number of districts, and it was not a surprise. There was nothing in the name of a college, no students, no teachers, no benches, nothing, except there was a building which was said to be a college. And our strong recommendation was close these colleges. The damage to the nation was huge, irreparable. And the discussion started from there. You can see the implication, the repercussions of that in the policy. If teachers are not trained well, if we do not have teachers who are worthy of being teachers, I don't think anybody can help a system of education in a country. So it was very, very important. And you can again see the imprint of it, chapter 5, 15, both are dedicated to teachers. How to revamp teacher education. I think the 4 topics that you have taken are very, very relevant. We switched over again. I had the privilege, I'm part of this decision, from 2 years to 4 years B.Ed program. We said, I think that report should be here. I will show you. Yes, this is the report that we gave to the government. This is not a confidential report, but somehow this has not been made public. And all the recommendations that you see in the NEP 2020 with regard to teacher education are from this recommendation of the Siddiqui committee, where I was a member. We very strongly felt it should be 4 years. The first topic that I think Archana ma'am would be talking about would be on 4-year B.Ed program. I would be very curious to hear what the school perspective is on it. Are we in the right direction? Should the teacher education be 4 years? And if it has to be 4 years, then what would be the role of the schools? We strongly felt schools are not involved, principals are not involved. They have nothing to do with training of teachers. A large number of principals told me the training that you provide, the teachers that you give are good for nothing. We have to retrain them for our job. So very, very important. And to do all this, we have to revamp the NCT. I think it is in the process. It's in the process. Plus, I believe most important is continuous professional development. There's nothing like a final learning in teaching. We have to be continuous learners, to be teachers, to be professionals, and that is the strength. I think one of the topic that Prem Kumar ji will be talking would be on continuous professional development. But Rashmi ma'am has a tough job. How to revamp the Anganwadis? They are 13 lakh and they are workers. How to make them teachers? Although the work has started, Rashmi ma'am, but I would like to hear from you what rest can be done. But Ravi also, I would be very curious to hear. I have been saying, we have very good activist principals who can speak very well, who can put the ideas very well, but there is no record. There we lack in India. We must write, print, keep it for posterity. What we call institutional memory. That's very, very important. Let me see how Ravi does it. He has been my colleague and a very dear colleague to me. So I would like to see what Ravi says about action research and publication. That's very important. So very important 5 themes on teacher education today. Obviously, Tanya ma'am would be putting some more light and opening the scene for all the 5 speakers. And we'll have occasion to discuss every paper after that. But thank you once again, Priyadarshi ji, for taking up this very, very crucial and timely topic of what happens after NEP 2020. Why is it very important? Let me tell you, the government is going at the rate of 100-meter race. Please hear me very carefully. The government is going very fast on implementing. Do you want an academic implementation or do you want a bureaucratic implementation? Don't bicker 2022 that we were not part of it. Don't shout, don't cry in 2022 that we were never consulted what was NCF. How was the NCT revamped? Start shouting now what you want. Otherwise, for another 20 years, you will be in the same place. So it is very timely that CED has taken up this. Put your ideas, shout about it, publish it, and tell the government you want this. Otherwise, there is no good of an NEP 2020. Thank you once again, Priyadarshi ji and the team for taking up this theme and giving me this opportunity to share my ideas with the honorable principals of the very prestigious schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think your words absolutely encourages everyone, those who are in the field of education, those who are leading the respective schools. Actually, now everyone wants to do something. Everyone wants to speak on these topics. For that only, you can see every day a huge number of teachers, principals, they used to join in our session. In a regular basis, I think since 1.5 years, if at all webinars are concerned, It may be the 200th webinar today. We are doing it here since the lockdown period started. And on national education policy, it is a regular basis, and I think many of us, you all might be there, witnessed in the foundation in this group that we are all discussing on teacher education. We are all discussing on how quality of teacher will develop. Conducting webinars, conducting seminars, conducting conferences, it's only to empower school educators. So when we talk about reforms in teacher education, Center for Education Development Foundation is doing the only significant role since last 1.5 years. I think we are all at home and we used to have every day one of these sessions happens. So very important way, as it is said now, we have to raise our voice. We have to speak. We want that autonomy, that that thing which we can put forth in front of the government in the form of in the seminars or workshops. I used to put up all those things in YouTube and Facebook. It goes. I hope the discussions are very, very sensitive. Discussions are very much to the heart of discussion which is happening from school principals. I think those government people, whoever are listening to it, they need to understand the need, actually the requirement, the real necessity of school leaders. And if at all that has been done, I hope everything will be all right. And the reforms, when we talk about teacher education, can be fruitful. So let me all now request our co-chair of today's session, Dr. Tanya Gupta, principal from the RP Institute of Education, Greater Noida, to highlight, madam, we have very specific 5 points as Professor Sharma also spoke about it, and what we are expecting from the SEDEX speakers to speak on. So I would also request you to highlight, ma'am, how do you visualize this topic, and what are the expectations from everyone, and how we can put forth all those things in front of the government that yes, these are the necessary things and these are the required things for to have a reform in teacher education. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for providing the opportunity. Once again, good evening to all the luminaries in academia, the change agents, our nation builders, our teachers, and all the other participants who have joined this ongoing SEDEX series on revisiting issues in schooling post-NEP 2020, which is being organized under the visionary and the pace-setting leadership of Dr. Priyadarshi Nayak, who's the founder president of the Global Talk Education Foundation India. Sir, I'd like to congratulate you at the outset for this initiative and connecting so many people to take on how NEP has to be translated into action in the school, and then what are its implications even on teacher education as we gather here today. So kudos to you, sir, for your effort. Now, dear friends, all the participants, the respected educationists who are on the platform, we all know that a national education policy is a roadmap. It's a vision, it's a guide for implementation. Therefore, to translate a policy into praxis lies in the hands of the various stakeholders, and that is us. We must have the will to do and make it happen through such engaging and reflective deliberations that are happening today. And mutually, we have to carve a progressive way forward. It is an honor for me to be a part of this prestigious forum where discussions are being held under the guidance of the Honorable Chair, Professor Dr. C.B. Sharma, sir. Bahut namaskar, sir. And sir, I express my gratitude for the way you are taking this forward right from the time, you've been into the education and then headed the NIOS, and now you're taking forward this mission of translating the NEP into praxis. I express my gratitude to you, sir, for connecting me today to this galaxy of dynamic school leaders and educationists.
Thank you. My privilege. Thank you.
Well, the objective of today's session is to together find out practical suggestions for reforms in teacher education, under which we shall hear the views of school leadership and academicians on the 4-year B.Ed program. What is the role the schools can play? How do we go about revamping the regulatory system in teacher education? What are the challenges to teacher preparation in Anganwadis and ashram shalas? How do you make the continuous professional development of teachers really work and you make it happen? And how do you direct the efforts of this, the teaching community at schools, those who are improvising their professional skills through training, through their practices? How do they share it into a community of learners? They promote a research-oriented practice and disseminate it through publications. So this is another aspect that we shall be covering today. Now, we are all aware that the National Education Policy aims to revamp the educational framework, aligning it to the Sustainable Development Goal 4 and the national goals of Bharat, and shifting the focus of education from rote learning, learning for exams, and making education joyful, holistic, affordable, promising equitable access to quality education for all. This is what the NEP envisages and intends to achieve. As educators, it's our foremost responsibility to create humane individuals who have strong character, ethics, compassion, care. We also have the onus of creating self-directed learners by recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of all our students for their holistic development, which means we have to, as teachers, we have to respect individual differences. We have to honor the student diversity if you want true inclusion. Empower our children to pursue in their life whatever is as per their talents and interests. And therefore, we have to evolve. We have to reorient and we have to redefine ourselves. I won't say refine, we have to redefine ourselves as educators, prepare our children, our youth for a future system, equipping them with the knowledge, the wisdom, our deep-rooted Indian values, social and life skills, and simultaneously we have to prepare them to possess those employable skills for the present and the future world with jobs we cannot think of today. So in short, if I say the task is magnanimous, we have to prepare lifelong learners and instill with them, foster in them the ability to learn how to learn, as the NEP says, and live happily, joyfully, successfully in this VUCA world that's full of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And then a transformation towards education 4.0, which is going to happen because of industry 4.0, which is going to be characterized by big data, machine learning, robotics, and artificial intelligence. Therefore, for this systematic overhaul in the Indian education system, dear friends, in the light of the NEP 2020, it is indispensable to spearhead reforms in teacher education in India, since the NEP acknowledges that the teacher must be the center. The teacher must be the center of fundamental reforms in the education system. And here, I wish to share that as a nation, we need to do more to restore the dignity of the teaching profession. We must have people who want to join the teaching profession, and let it not be a last resort if they do not get into some other more lucrative or the professions which our children seek for. So the dignity of the teaching profession has to be valued. Teachers have to be supported, not only in their professional and their lives, but we have to make them feel valued and have to publicly recognize their efforts. There is a need to re-establish teachers at all levels. Now that the NEP gives us such goals on how we have to prepare our learners, so certainly there's no doubt that we need to re-establish our teachers at all levels to shape our next generation of citizens. So we must do everything to empower our teachers and help them do their jobs as effectively as possible. And the effort, even the NEP 2020 says, is to recruit the very best and the brightest to enter into the teaching profession at all levels. And this generally happens, and this only happens when you ensure a dignified livelihood to them, lucrative career, respect, dignity, and giving them autonomy. So I'm here, I remember the words of Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, who said, to quote, that teachers should be the best minds in the country. If we are expecting the best of learners in our country, we need to have the best of teachers. And you can only, the moment you attach the word best, you have to accord priority to the teaching profession and give it its due dignity. Now, we know that there are 22 fundamental principles of the NEP 2020, which we have seen, which call a reform in the Indian education system, turning into a multidisciplinary, holistic, there's no hard separation between disciplines. There is more emphasis on conceptual understanding, creativity, critical thinking, ethics and human values, constitutional values, life skills, multilingualism. So if we all read, and I'm sure we've all read these 22 fundamental principles of the NEP to reform the face of the Indian education system, we have to adopt them in teacher education as well, because if you do not have this in the teacher education, it will not flow down into the school system. And therefore, I feel that these 22 fundamental principles of the NEP to change the overall Indian education system has to find its place in the teacher education system, the curriculum, the assessment processes, the accreditation processes, and so on and so forth. So what I'm suggesting is that it has to be a synergetic approach rather than a piecemeal approach. We've heard of isolation of schools with teacher education institutions. We've heard of isolation of teacher education departments with other departments in colleges and universities. That won't work, because if it's going to work in the same manner, then this is just going to be another national policy which the government has given to us. So a synergetic approach is something which I feel is very important. As Dr. Priyadarshi said, the focus is on teacher quality. And teacher quality is dependent on our teacher preparation. So let us today, through this forum here, what our school leaders expect changes in teacher education, and I look forward to be enlightened by it. What is expected out of schools and what role the schools have to play for the pre-service and in-service teacher education. We will look further for the views. Now we know that the 4-year integrated B.Ed program offering multiple entry and exit options is the future of teacher education in India, which is going to be the minimum qualification for teaching by the year 2030. They are going to be merit-based scholarships. This is what the NEP talks, that those who want to pursue the 4-year program, the teacher eligibility tests to check the aptitude. It also talks of how passionate a teacher is. It can be tested through the demonstrations in the classroom. It's done in the private schools, but in the government schools also this system is proposed. And preferential employment should be given to the teachers in their local areas and saving them from that unnecessarily movement, which is the transfer system. So that is another recommendation for the teacher education, giving local job opportunities, especially in the case of female students, because they have their own commitments and challenges, and it becomes easier for them to be absorbed in, in a school which is in their local community. Providing incentive to teachers to take up jobs in rural areas where there is acute shortage of teachers. And also there are provisions like housing allowance for teachers who can live near the school premises or within the campus. It's also talking of a technology-based comprehensive teacher requirement planning to forecast the number of vacancies that are anticipated in the near future, which will help to know how many teacher education colleges are required, what would be the intake and what would be the output. So all these things have to be decided, and they are brilliantly written in the NEP 2020. So this is going to be one aspect which we are going to deliberate, that what is it that the teachers and the school leaders are looking forth in the 4-year integrated B.Ed curriculum. Second, which we'll be deliberating today, is on the Anganwadis and the Ashram Shalas. We all know that there are two major models of early childhood education available in India today. So one we have is the government-run Anganwadi centers. Largely, we have community workers who are working there with minimum on-job training. And then we have the privately managed preschools where we have teachers, but they are untrained into the early childhood education. So about 13.42 lakh Anganwadi centers are functioning across the country with the focal point on health and nutrition and early learning. But the data reveals that we have more children in the age group of 2 to 4 years there rather than the age group of 4 to 6, because we don't have many trained teachers who can dedicate to the early childhood education in that very educationally critical period. In fact, I would like to quote here a study. It's an evidence which talks of the need of early childhood care education, and that's why it's also found place into our policy, other than it being the focus of the RTE and the universalization of elementary education. There was a study called the Indian Early Childhood Education Impact Study, IECEI, in 2017. It was conducted, published by the UNICEF, and it was a 5-year longitudinal study conducted from 2011 to 2016 on a cohort of 4-year-olds across 3 major Indian states, that's Assam and Rajasthan and Telangana. And the whole idea of the study was to see what's the impact of early learning, socialization practices in preschool settings, and how does it affect the behavioral outcomes in the primary stage. So you'll be glad to know that the study found that children who have a quality exposure to early childhood education program have more likelihood to excel and do better in higher levels of living, especially in levels of learning, especially in the primary grades. And therefore, the focus now is how do we train our teachers for this early childhood education, whether it is in the Anganwadi or it is even in the Ashram Shalas, which are generally residential schools in tribal areas. The NEP proposes 6-month certificate programs for those who have qualification 10+2 and above, and those with lower education qualifications, a 1-year diploma. So the guidelines have been given: early literacy, numeracy, social skills, values. But then how do you have to do it? And also, how do we focus on the continuous professional development of these teachers, and how to offer it through digital and distance mode as well? So this is another focus area which we all will deliberate upon. Thirdly, as the continuous professional development is there, we do talk of continuous professional development, but is it really being translated into action? Are our teachers at present, is it only about workshops and seminars? Are they actually into content creation? And now with the focus on the regional languages and the mother tongue, do we have the caliber and the potential, or are we trained enough to create such resources which are multilingual? And the proposal of the NEP where it talks of 50 hours of CPD opportunities every year for the teachers, in pedagogy, assessment, competency-based learning, experiential learning, integration of art, theater, sports, storytelling. All these are avenues which the NEP has opened for us. How are the principals looking into actually charting out a calendar of ensuring 50 hours of CPD opportunities every year for their teachers and giving them the autonomy to learn and supporting them, providing them a supporting environment is something we will deliberate today, as well as the same recommendation is for the school principals and the school complex leaders to engage in 50 hours of, minimum 50 hours of CPD modules on leadership. One other aspect which I want to talk about here is training of teachers for inclusion and teaching of the Divyang children. The country does not have adequate special educators who can identify children with special needs. And when I say special needs, it also includes gifted children who have talent. So we really do not have so many special educators. And therefore, what should be a way forward? Should the general teachers also be trained during their pre-service on just not the theoretical aspects of studying inclusive education, but how to identify such children, how to help such children, how do we resource teachers? Can we have some certificate programs? All these things, we need to really discuss. And the NEP talks of a synergetic collaboration between the NCT and the RCI to see that the qualified special educators can also handle regular subject teaching in schools. Coming to the regulatory mechanism, which says light but tight. Now, in case of teacher education, I hope the light but tight regulatory does not compromise any further in quality, leading to commercialization and further mushrooming of, as Professor Sharma was saying, mushrooming of substandard, below standard, poor standard, and to quote, non-attending teacher education institutions in India. The regulatory mechanism we need to understand what is the light but tight and how it's going to work. So that's some area where we're looking for some suggestions. And finally, the field-based studies, evidence-based practices to find solutions to day-to-day problems in schooling has to be fostered through action research. The findings have to be disseminated by the teachers and the principals through their publications. And once this happens, it is going to enhance a better understanding of all of us, because they're actually with the children and they know what are the problems and what are the challenges. And another way I see of autonomy is the spirit to research and to disseminate the findings for better understanding of what works, what doesn't, because that will help in reduction of duplication of efforts and unnecessarily, wastage of resources. So we can mobilize them towards workable areas for further improvement. So this is all, I just would like to say from my end. And I'm really looking forward to hear the school leadership on all these 5 aspects. And we'll together work out some practical solutions as the keynote speaker and as the founder president of this talk series. He's said that we should come up with workable solutions and give it to the government of India, because then, such programs are really worthwhile. So thank you. And I look forward to hear more from the dynamic school principals. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful, amazing vision, ma'am. You have so fantastically, you have explained all the 5 points. I think it's the day, I think so nice you said. And as 2 to 3 things which I would like to put up before I invite, as you say, teacher must be the center of the education system. Very much agreed. And we must do everything for our teachers as such they can do their best. Teachers should be the, you can say the best minds of the country, very rightly said. And here I want to quote why teacher standard is in a question mark. I can tell you that teachers by profession, those who are choosing, they are not choosing this profession. They are not coming to this profession because somewhere or the other, the dignity of this profession is not kept intact. What we or school in generally we feel when we ask in a class also, how many of you want to become a teacher? Then the entire class, you won't get a single hand up. Why? This somewhere or the other in the entire country, even today in the this COVID situation, you might have seen how deliberately, how consciously the teachers are taking these online classes. I could remember they have changed themselves, but who is thinking about this teacher? Who is thinking about these principles? Even if the examination has to be conducted, the government is least bothered to ask or take a view from a principal whether the examination will be conducted or not. This is the critical structure actually of Indian situation. I don't know how this is going to improve, but if at all the dignity of the profession will not improve, system need to be, you need to understand that this noble profession has, you need to have a dignity for them so that they will come up. These teachers have immense talent. You might have seen they were not knowing computers. They were not knowing this, how to take up these online classes, but they immediately turned over and they are now the magnificent techno-savvy teachers all over the world now. How this happens? We are the creator only. So teacher, when we say that they are the center of the education system, I believe we need to give them autonomy. We need to give them responsibility. These things, who will be doing it? I think these, if at all these points, the government or the people, those who are putting up all those things in the system, they did not understand. They will not find out the reason. And yes, something has to be given to the teachers. Let us all discuss and formulate all these policy. Nothing can come up. Anyway, it was fantastic, ma'am. So nice of you to summarize all those points. I think whatever we are expecting from our SEDEX speakers, they will be speaking. And finally, I would also request you once a SEDEX speaker delivers, you please suggest that yes, this point to be taken up because it is getting live and people must be watching all these things. So friends, ladies and gentlemen, please now let me first of all invite for the first topic of the day, the 4-year B.Ed program. All of us know, as already just now we heard, that 4-year B.Ed program by 2030, the minimum degree qualification for teaching will be a 4-year integrated B.Ed degree. And if not, then the options, what will happen, what stringent actions will be taken, again, all. So what should be the role of the schools to play on? So here we go with the first topic. I invite the first SEDEX speaker, Madam Archana Narayan.
Thank you so much.
I hope, yes.
Yes, I'm very much here. Thank you so much and namaskar to you.
Namaskar, ma'am.
Thank you once again, Dr. Priyadarshi Nayak, for this opportunity. And a very good afternoon to all my fellow educators. Namaskar to Professor C.B. Sharma, sir. It is always a pleasure and a delight listening to you, sir. Your vast knowledge and in-depth work on NEP is commendable. So, sir, thank you so much for being a constant guiding light for all of us. My greetings to all my fellow panelists. It had been a great listening to Dr. Tanya Gupta right now. Beautifully, she has brought out many aspects of B.Ed program and role of school. So I am going to make sure that I don't touch upon those points and I will give my views. But in any case, I am going to run down the audience with my views. And at the same time, I'm also looking forward to listening and gaining knowledge from the other panelists who would be talking on different topics. So the topic which has been given to me, and I am going to be sharing my views, has always been a great matter of concern as a school leader. And at the same time, it also has been too very close to my heart because I'm a teacher trainer myself. And I strongly feel that a passionate teacher can bring wonders in the lives of the students. Passionate teacher would always create passionate students. And before I get into the details of the 4-year B.Ed program, I would also like to share with the audience that why the 4-year B.Ed program is so very important. And there are a lot of reasons which I can attribute to it. Let's quickly understand the reasons for it. I'm sure you all would agree that teachers play a very important role in the life of a student. Since ancient times till now, how the role of teachers is revered. We have numerous stories about that. In the present times also, teachers are the most important members of our society, and especially during the pandemic times, they have proved that yes, and they have really risen their standard, and they are no less than frontline warriors. They give children the purpose, set them up for success, and inspire in them a drive to do well in life. A teacher not only helps the students in academics, but she or he is instrumental in shaping the overall development and personality of the students, about which we all know very well. Now, in order to fulfill this very important role, it becomes very imperative that the teachers should be adequately trained to do their job. They should be knowledgeable enough, having in-depth knowledge of the subject they are going to be teaching. They should possess excellent analytical and critical thinking skills, a good training having insight of nitty-gritties of teaching learning process, and should possess compassion, empathy, patience, and passion to teach the students. So that is again very important. Whereas now it is the irony of the situation that when it comes to the quality teachers, I think we all school leaders struggle a lot. Now, when it comes to the recruitment of the teachers, we all face a lot of challenge because we are not getting that kind of a quality or a passionate teacher. And the quality is going down. And now the reason for this to a larger extent is the BA degrees, the way they are procured. We have also seen B.Ed colleges mushrooming everywhere with no proper infrastructure. Here I would say that the new education policy has come as a big rescue because it was very much needed by making the 4-year integrated degree as the minimum qualification for teaching will surely bring uniformity across India and would definitely improve the standard of the teachers and will also bring about a radical change in the teaching learning process. Now, NEP also says that a stringent action is going to be taken against substandard standalone teacher educational institutions, which is going to be a very good step if it starts actually happening. Now, this initiative will make teaching profession as a profession of choice instead of leftover, which was just now spoken. Now, there is a very famous saying which says, those who can do and those who cannot teach, which means that such boys and girls take up the teaching profession who do not possess skills for other professions. What a sorry state of affairs, but then that is the reality. Now, when I'm saying all this, I'm not at all undermining the capabilities and efficiency of the present day dedicated teachers. They are excellent and are doing a wonderful job, but to bring them to the desired level, the schools have to struggle a lot. They have to initially work hard with them to make sure that the required training is given to them as per the flavor of that particular school. So the complete responsibility comes on the school principal, whereas the BA degree colleges are not able to provide that required training. And I'm sure now with this NEP and with these B.Ed integrated colleges, and especially with the 4-year program, this is not going to be there, because then the teachers who are going to be coming will not be those half-learned teachers, and they will be able to meet the classroom requirement, because that is very, very important. Because we've also seen that so many times the teachers are excellent when it comes to their content knowledge, but then their practical knowledge to handle the classroom transaction is not up to the mark. So that is why a proper training is very much needed. Now, I strongly feel preparing a teacher is an activity that requires multidisciplinary perspective and knowledge. The formation of dispositions and values and the development of skills under the able guidance of mentors, which is very, very important. We have to have very good mentors, teachers who are there in these colleges and giving training to the teachers. Probably then only we will see the difference coming in the school education. Now, in order to maintain uniform, acceptable standards of education across the country, the NEP says that the admission to pre-service teacher preparation programs shall be through a single nationwide entrance examination to be conducted by the National Testing Agency, and minimum mandatory requirement to become a teacher is going to be 4-year integrated program. Now, this is again is going to make a difference, because otherwise what was happening in B.Ed courses, any teacher would just go, any girl or a boy would go and get the admission. So now it is not going to be the case so. And then also it is going to be provided by multidisciplinary colleges and universities. So that also is going to bring a revolution in the education system and also in the teachers. Now, all these measures also will improve the levels of integrity and credibility required, like what Dr. Tanya also said, to restore the prestige of the teaching profession, and will help in attaining a successful school system, which is very much required, because that prestige, that image of the teachers is going down over the period of time, and we really have to bring it back. Now, we all will agree that the success of any school is dependent on the quality and the engagement of its teacher, who can enhance the educational experiences of the children. Now, the schools, and most importantly, again, I'll emphasize, the school leader plays an important role in further upskilling the knowledge of the teachers and shaping them into the most sought after and efficient teachers. No doubt, the schools will immensely get benefited by the trained teachers as envisioned by NEP. But the schools have to make sure that their teaching learning process does not get stagnant, because that is what NEP says. The schools will have to constantly provide ample opportunities and platform to the teachers, where they keep learning innovative and creative methodologies, pedagogies. The schools will have to provide a very conducive and effective learning environment, which is caring with inclusive culture, to keep the teachers inspired by providing them ways to explore their career growth and self-improvement, because that is very, very important. If we are looking for the teachers who can continue doing well, then we have to provide them with the career growth also. Now, teachers should be given more autonomy. Now, that is something very, very important in choosing various aspects of pedagogy in classroom teaching, so that they match and are able to teach in the manner they find it most effective for the student, because the teacher knows the pulse of the students. So she has to be given that kind of a freedom inside the classroom. And here I can give my own example. Whenever I take the meetings, I tell my teachers that you are the boss and you are a leader inside your classroom. But for that, we have to give them the freedom, and also we have to keep the checks and the systems in place. But now if we start giving them the responsibility, we start reposing trust in them after giving them the right kind of a training, then we will see that such teachers will evolve as the most committed, highly enthusiastic and motivated teachers, because that I have been seeing in my own school. Because we have to give them that confidence that yes, you can do it. And once we give them that kind of a confidence, then there is never any kind of a looking back. Teachers doing outstanding work also should be recognized, promoted, and given salary raises, so that it becomes a motivation for other teachers to do their best. So the schools must create a very robust merit-based promotion and salary structure policies, which can recognize excellent and committed teachers so that they can keep doing well. Within the schools, there should be parity in the in-service conditions across all stages, which even Jyoti ma'am also, Tanya ma'am also said just now, that since all the stages in the school, be it foundational, preparatory, middle, or secondary, are important. Therefore, teachers should be provided with enough opportunities to grow within the school. Outstanding teachers with demonstrated leadership and management skills to be trained over the period of time to take on academic leadership positions, which most of the times we are not paying much of attention. So this is something we should look into it very seriously. And no doubt, good infrastructure does play a very important role, which means schools will have to provide a better, safe and adequate infrastructure, having basic necessities in place, which are best suited for improving the service as well as is comfortable also. And in turn, it will complement the performance and commitment of the teachers, because possibly in private schools, it is there. But what about so many other schools in the remote areas and all? They do not have the proper infrastructure. And it is again the irony of the situation. So we have to bring that kind of a scenario where all the schools are having the basic infrastructure and teacher feels safe in teaching that in that school, and children also feel safe in coming to these kind of schools. Now, another very important role a school can play is that the NEP says that 50 hours of the continuous professional development for the teachers based on their own interests. So now schools will have to ensure that they provide that kind of an opportunity to the teachers so that they're able to complete that 50 hours of CPD. Then also using technology platforms like SWAYAM and Diksha, which are already there. So online teachers of the trainings also should be encouraged. And we should not, what I very strongly feel, that we should not keep on waiting for now 2030 or maybe 2024 or 2025 or 2022. Why not start all these things from now itself? Because ultimately, the school leader is going to be a school leader later on also. The same set of teachers would be coming. It is only just honing them and training them to meet the standard of the school. So we can start working from now only. And there are many schools and school leaders who are already doing, which is something very good. The schools must empower and enthuse the teachers to aim for excellence. It is the school's duty primarily, so that they can give their best. Because most of the time we say that we have underperformance kind of performer teachers. What do we do? But then they sometimes fail to understand that why those teachers are underperformer, why they are not up to the mark. It is basically we have not been able to enthuse that kind of an interest in the teaching in the classroom, because most of the time we are checking them with so many things that no, this is to be done, you are not doing this correctly, you are not doing that rightly, and then that demotivates them. Yes, certain times we have to check them, but at the same time we also have to ensure that how we are conveying and communicating with the teachers, because that also makes a difference. And another point which also I would like to point out is that instead of 3 or 6 months in service trainings, which all these B.Ed degrees are doing these days, should now stretch to minimum 1 year, because then only teacher is going to understand the nuances of the teaching learning process. So I'm sure 4-year B.Ed integrated program is going to cater to that also, and will make sure that at least for 8 months or maybe 10 months or 12 months, the teacher is sent to different schools so that she can understand the ground reality. Because till such time teachers would not be made to understand the ground reality, we will not be able to get the desired outcomes and the result. And last but never the least, the mentoring also plays a very important role, which I have been saying from the very beginning. And a school leader must make sure that all the new entrants, even once they come to the school after the 4-year degree program, then also they should be given a proper induction program, and constant mentoring and monitoring is done, because then only we can again make sure that the teacher is able to improve to the required standard of the schools. So
Amazing.
No.
Fantastic, ma'am. That was great. Very lastly, mentoring and monitoring should be there, and that is the sole responsibility of school leader. I will take a quick view from Tanu, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Archana ma'am, for your wonderful points that you have mentioned. I do agree to what all things, the practical ground realities that you brought out, and how, we at the teacher education institutions, there are some good teacher education institutions in the country which are working very hard. But I would just like to, taking from your points, because it's a deliberation platform where we need to evolve and take it forward. I'll just like to add here, we know that in the PISA, how our children have performed way back in 2009. This international this kind of testing, which is for evaluating 15-year-old students on other than math and reading, it's all about how you apply what you have learned at schools and just not at memory level, how we have fared as a country, where, we were ranked 72nd out of the 73rd. So I just take this further that yes, we do have, the new entrants from B.Ed colleges coming into school, and taking to your point, the induction and the hand holding of a new entrant by the school leader is a very important thing. The whole idea should not be of eliminating a teacher who's just come in, she's in a probation, she's being tested, and she has to be removed. The idea has to be hand holding and supporting. I do take inputs from what you say, that when I say the children are not able to perform at schools, it directly means the teachers are not preparing them for analytical thinking. Teachers are not preparing them for real life complex problems. And this is a key takeaway in the B.Ed curriculum. Though we have reflections, we have analytical thinking, we have life skills, but to put it into real ground case studies, or, how to actually eventually practice it, is something which the teacher education curriculum should give exposure to the new entrants. Getting the quality teachers, as you say, the NTA will have a big role. We get new entrants, agreed to that. The hand holding is also there. I would just like to mention that the NCT gives a 20 weeks of internship period to the trainees, the B.Ed interns, 4 years in the first year, 4 weeks in the first year, and 16 weeks, in the second year. But largely, it's an observation that when the student teachers are at the campuses, the school premises, they are generally, there is lack of faith that they can be put into the classrooms, and they are more into, substitutions or creating boards. So I think that kind of faith, because देखिए जब आप medical interns करते हैं और law में भी interns करते हैं, तो आप उनको शुरू में observation देते हैं, but then you have to put them on the forefront. Only then they will learn. So that's one. And my one suggestion, ma'am, to what you say is, other than, building the core competencies and the professional competencies and the attitudes and the values, besides that, I feel like the medical, like the legal, we should have paid internships in teacher education. It is a motivating factor for the interns to be paid, because हमारे यहाँ भारत के हर कोने से टीचर एजुकेशन में आ रहे हैं, और इसका एक डिमांड सर्वे भी करने की जरूरत है कि कितने बच्चे जो खुद 12वीं कक्षा के बाद अभी बच्चे ही हैं, कितने पैशनेट हैं टीचिंग में घुसने के लिए, आना चाहते हैं. एक डिमांड सर्वे करना भी बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि इवेंचुअली 4 साल का प्रोग्राम होगा, अभी तो 1 year and 2 year भी चलता रहेगा, बट कितने लोग आना चाहते हैं और कठिनाइयों से आते हैं, तो उनके लिए पेड इंटर्नशिप्स भी होनी बहुत आवश्यक है. सो दैट्स जस्ट वन की टेकअवे, एंड थैंक यू सो मच मैम फॉर योर डेलिब्रेशन.
Fantastic, ma'am. Your inputs too, very right. And I think this will be, we are preparing a vision document. And here in this document, these points, your suggestions will be added to it. Lovely. Thank you very much. Let me now invite the next speaker who will be speaking about revamping regulatory framework. SEDEX speaker, Mr. Rajiv Garg, Principal, Datta Maghe World Academy, Navi Mumbai. Sir, good evening. Namaskar.
Very good evening, sir. And good evening to Ma'am Tania and beloved C.V. Sharma, sir. A very, very, very good evening. First of all, my sincere compliments for organizing this particular webinar on revisiting NEP, and I'm thankful that I have been given a chance to speak on such a topic, that is teacher education. Teacher plays a very, very important role, in child's life. Teacher is a mentor, is a external parent, is a counselor. Teacher not only teaches, but also enthuse positivity in the child through the teaching learning process. So the role of the teacher is very, very important. And in this particular document, when we talk about NEP, the one good aspect which I could see is here teachers are termed as professionals, as CA, as doctors, as medical professionals. Teachers are also for the first time being termed as professionals. How much they will be, I don't know, but in the due course of time, that is another question. Coming to the topic about the reforms, but there are many things which are involved. Professor Saab spoke about today's topic. I had an opportunity to interact with him, a few months back, and try to know his view. And he was passionately involved in the development of this NEP document. And today, when I listened to Dr. Tania also, another aspect which has come into this particular thing, that everybody wants teacher to be positioned at the highest place. There are several factors attached, and as Dr. Nayak, you also said, teachers are not coming by choice; they are coming by chance. When nothing is left, they are entering into this profession, and we need to look into this aspect why this is happening. And if I look into whole process, I want to be a little critical about it, and I want to say, boya beej babool ka to aam kahan se hoye. The situation is right from bottom to high, everywhere. The things are not in that place which will produce good teachers. When we say the teacher is the most respected personality of the society, but are we really taking care in that particular terms, in that particular aspect? Teachers are involved more than teaching. They are involved in non-academic work, whether it is a midday meal process, whether it is census, whether it is other things. Teachers are more involved in non-academic, non-administrative, non-academic tasks rather than academic performance for which the teacher is there. And when it comes to the teaching time, what is happening? They have been given very less time to finish with the curriculum. So they remain with no other option but to remain focused on what is given in the text, finish it off and go. In fact, education is never a priority in our system, right? And hence the teachers are facing this kind of position. Anyways, I wish all the best to the creators of this NEP, that maybe with this document, with the implementation of this document, things may improve. So when I talk about my topic on reforming the regulatory system, so first thing comes is empowering teachers, right? Now, when it comes to empowering the teachers, of course, my previous speaker spoke about 4-year B.Ed program, 2-year B.Ed program, 1-year B.Ed program. That is all fine. That is once the teacher is there. Now, how the teacher is going to be, how the system is going to support. NEP document is talking about it, and as pointed out by Dr. Tania also, that there will be a technology-based comprehensive teacher requirement planning forecasting exercise to be conducted by each state. Now, this particular exercise will bring the teachers into the system, and very specifically into government and government aided schools. The thing is that the local people will be involved more. The priority will be given to local people in the teaching learning process, right? So that the teachers can go to the villages and can deliver the quality education. Teachers will have more autonomy in choosing aspects of classroom teaching. That is another important aspect which NEP is talking about. They will be having greater autonomy, right? To teach what way you want to teach is what is the need of the hour. And this will happen, again, I say, this will happen if the teacher will be taken out of non-academic work more. The career growth to be available to the teachers within the single school, single school stage, foundational, preparatory, middle, and secondary. So the teachers can find their growth level as per how is their performance in the classroom, how are they performing, how the learning outcomes are, are there, plus their TET score or NTA scores that will help them to find out the career growth. The academic leadership position to be made available to the teachers. Unfortunately, our policies are designed in such a way that teachers don't find much growth, in that particular position. Teachers are involved in many aspects of school governance. There are school managing committees. There are other aspects where the teachers are involved. However, the vertical growth or leading or gaining to the academic leadership position is remains a far dream for the teachers. So maybe this, when this NEP is talking about, they are looking into those aspects, to those people who have that potential to reach to that particular leadership position. There will be national professional standards for the teachers. They said by 2022. I believe the work is going on, and soon we will find some national professional standards to be defined, as teachers are termed as professionals. So therefore, there should be some code of ethics, some code of conduct should be there, some professional standards should be there for the teachers. And if the teachers will comply with those code of conduct 100%, there will be an interest coming in the teaching learning process. Teachers should be involved in the work for which they have been appointed, with no other work. The development, professional development, there will be hand holding for the teachers. Once the teachers are there inside the campus, inside the school, the teachers are recruited, there will be hand holding process right from induction to the furthering of their in-service training programs. So merit-based tenure track system will be there, which will be helping them to acquire their professional development, as well as their career growth, as well as the academic leadership position. Now, my point here is NEP recommends 50 hours of continuous development profession as per their need. Now, the question here comes, our education system is so tightly woven. Everything is, on the number of teachers to be appointed in the school, to the number of periods the teacher is going to take, the number of teachers are going to put up in the in their educational process in the school system. Why there is a mandatory requirement of 50 hours? If a teacher would like to learn, will learn in 10 hours. If a teacher is in the learning mode, will learn even in 5 hours. Let it be meaningful learning. Why 50 hours compulsion is coming? That is a big question that is coming over here. Now, once you make this compulsion of 50 hours, what is going to happen? The teachers will try to cover that 50 hours of duration without any learning process attached with it, right? There will be no meaningful learning. There was a process, I understand, I was doing MEd program, and I found there were some teachers from Rajasthan in the program with me. and I was doing it from distance learning program from Shimla, Himachal University, and we had our contact program in Delhi University at that particular time. So I was interacting with them that yeah, we are doing this MEd program because our promotions are attached with this program. So we want just a certificate. For the sake of getting certificate for their professional growth in that particular process, they were there. So there was no learning attached with the MEd program for them. They were just mandatorily doing it. So the question is, why there is a mandatory aspect of minimum 50 hours? Why can't it be 20 hours? Why can't it be 10 hours when it is when it is left to the teachers to go for training, and let there be mandatory training programs, that's all. But those training programs should be meaningful, which teachers should be able to implement in the classroom situation, in their teaching learning process. That is what is required. They are talking about improving service environment through better infrastructure at school. Agreed. But how many village schools really do have even toilet facility? All the teachers are sharing their toilet, sharing the toilet with the students. Are we really doing a process in that particular? And if it will happen, yes, there will be privacy. Even forget about it. We are talking about a girls' common room in the schools. Are we really focusing on how many schools really do have a girls' common room in the schools, right? So, if we are these things practicable? Are these things going to be really implemented? That will be a question. And if these things will happen, then definitely the scenario in the schools are going to be changed to a great extent, and teachers will find themselves in a very respectable position. Moving further,
Please,
when
kindly
we talk,
conclude, sir.
pardon, sir. Yeah, coming. Few more points to talk about teacher recruitment and deployment. They're talking about, again, they said transparent transfer system. However, जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, हमारे यहाँ सिस्टम ज्यादा करके वो चलता है. So when we talk about government, this is going to be in the government and government aided system. Are they really working? They said only computerized system, but computer is also being run by human. So is it really working? They're talking about teacher eligibility test. Teacher eligibility test, how far is it really workable? Is it really coming out with good teachers? Will it guarantee that the teachers who are passing out of teacher eligibility test will become a good teacher? If their content is not clear at the graduation level, at the post graduation level, then what the teacher eligibility test is going to do all about? So that is why I said we need to focus on the institutions of higher learning. Right from that aspect, we need to train the teachers in such a way that they will be able to use technology, they will be able to use the content for delivery. So those who are really having that mindset to come as a teacher should come as a teacher. Yes, they're talking about certificate course and other courses, but these are the things they're talking about. Improving teachers. So new and comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education shall be developed by NCERT. But as you know, the other day, Honorable Sharma sir was speaking that our system is more of bureaucratic approach, very less scope of academicians. No one is heading the department with with sincere academics. So we need to work it out that yes, the teacher education should be done with sincerity to bring the element of real teaching learning process in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Rajiv sir. Ma'am, over to you for your just quick review on this point.
So thank you, Mr. Rajiv Garg sir, for the inputs that you've given. Key takeaways, I think, from an implementable points from your deliberations are that We need to ensure that teaching is chosen as a profession by choice and not by chance. And we need to focus more on academic work. One input from my end is we have to see how we can ensure that these internships, and we aspire and we inspire teachers to go up for taking teaching as a career in rural areas. I think that is what we need to work at. And for the academic leadership position that you mentioned, the teachers who are doing well, they must be promoted. So like the UGC has a performance appraisal system, we need to work out a very clear-cut performance appraisal system for the school teachers, which is of a set standard. And besides the national professional standards that the NCT is working, I think if we are proposing in for even a school education commission subsequently, there should be a role in which the school education commission also should parallelly tell us what should be the competencies on which the appraisals would be done. And just like the UGC does it for higher education institutions. So that's all. And thank you so much for your views.
Thank you.
Fantastic input, sir. I think that's great. We need to keep the standard. And Rajiv, sir, your few points absolutely to be taken care of. And ma'am has added the final point to it. Thank you, ma'am. I would request now the third speaker to come on and request speakers to make their presentation, their inputs confined to 10 minutes. We are short of time. The topic is challenges for teacher preparation for Anganwadis and Ashram Salas. Speaker is Dr. Rashmi Rekha Saha, Principal, Jaipuriya School, Navi Mumbai. Ma'am, over to you. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Eminent speakers, leaders, principal, and versatile educationists. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Naik for providing this opportunity to speak on this platform. I'm highly honored and blessed to present myself. Namaskar, Professor C.B. Sharma ji, our keynote speaker. Love to listen you again and again. Have spent lovely, enriching time with you. Looking forward for more such opportunities to hear you and listen to you in recent future. All my warm regards and greetings to our TEDx speakers, and greetings to Dr. Tania Gupta, ma'am. It was lovely listening to you. Today, my topic is about the challenges of teachers' preparation for Anganwadis and Ashram Shalas, a very big challenge indeed. Now, when we are talking about NEP 2020 and the education policy, it is mainly about the creating the potential of each individual, the development of each individual. And it is also emphasizing on the cognitive capacities and also higher order cognitive capacities like critical thinking, problem solving, social, ethical, and emotional capacities, and so on. Now, who is at the center? Definitely, since beginning of the series of this NEP, we are talking about the teachers are at the center of this fundamental reform in the education system. Now, when we are talking about the teachers, this national education policy must re-establish, like rightly said Tania ma'am, that at all levels, as the most respected and essential member of our society, it should be by choice, not by chance, because they are the people, those who truly shape the whole entire country, human resource, the next generation citizens. And it also must empower teachers to help them to do their job as effectively as possible, as it was well said by Mr. Garg regarding the autonomy and also the flexibility of teaching the subject in the class. So in that way, the teachers also, this education policy should look into that how they can recruit the best and the brightest. When the schools are mostly promoting the engineers and doctors only, the education system is only catering to those fields, then the best and brightest, how they will enter into this profession, which I want to bring it to the notice. We are the people who only are bringing this as an industry. And so this, when we are talking about best and brightest, So we have to ensure also livelihood, respect and dignity and autonomy, which we are talking since beginning. As we are talking about this teachers, then also the students from every background, they should be also there in this education system. Special focus should be there for those who are historically marginalized, disadvantaged, economically shattered, or probably in the remote areas or distant places. It is always, again, a very known fact and established fact that 85% of the brain development do take place prior to, say, age 6. And also this quality ECC is not available to crores of young children, and particularly to those disadvantaged people. And also this strong investment is required. When we are talking about Anganwadis and Ashram Shalas, we are not talking about the private schools or the big schools. Strong investment in ECCE is required. Then only it has the potential to give all young children such access, enabling them to participate and flourish in the educational system throughout their lives. So the strong investment will be only through the teachers training, so that we are targeting 2030. When this year will be there, we will be nearing 2030. That time grade 1 students will be ready to go to school, right? And also, as well said by the earlier SEDEC speakers, that AS NCERT is going to prepare the complete framework. And as Sharma ji also specified that in the year 2022, we are not going to shout that we are not ready and who told us to do this. So we have to be very loud that yes, 0 to 3 years and 3 to 8 years, it will be in 2 frameworks, and NCERT is going to bring it with stories, poetry, games, songs, and many more things will be added in this framework. And also it will be implemented throughout the country in a phased manner to all the Anganwadis co-located with primary schools, existing primary schools, stand-alone preschools, and all of which would recruit teachers and workers specially trained in the curriculum and pedagogy of ECC. As Sharma ji in the beginning only mentioned that yes, the work started. The work started at that ground level where the forms has been distributed and the chapter submission is going on from state level to district level to Jilla Parishads about what are the percentages of workers required, helpers required, and what is the condition of the building or the structure which is existing, and that they have to submit. And also the work which has started is the primary schools or the schools existing in that locality that had got attached with the local Anganwadis. So the Anganwadis are already attached to the preschools and also the existing schools. Now when we are talking about all this, we are addressing to 13.77 lakh Anganwadis, right? Where 12.8 lakh workers and 11.6 lakh helpers are already working. We are not talking about some 100 schools or 1,000 schools. We are addressing a large number. So, and it is also required that this Anganwadi workers and the helpers should be well trained, well equipped. Now, when this training would be successful, when a leadership program or this kind of programs get success, when the objective or the orientations are in that same direction, what for am I trained? Like, for example, just now Rajiv sir spoke about that why this compulsion of training. Is the objective very clear to the teachers? They are just doing the training because of completion of 50 hours. It is, they are not attending the training that they are learning. They are doing with some kind of objective. The objective is 50 hours of training program they have to complete. So like this, the Anganwadi workers and helpers, those who are just recruited on incentive basis, is the objective very clear from the government side, which is all on incentive basis. And what it says that they will train, and there will be well ventilated classrooms, there will be well designed classrooms, the furnitures will be child friendly, then the Anganwadi centers would be providing all the integrated programs where all the stakeholders will be participating in all the programs. Now, are the villages well equipped with those? Now, why we are talking about this Anganwadis and Ashram Shalas? Where did it start? Indian government started in 1975 as a part of integrated child development service programs to combat child hunger and malnutrition. 1975 to 2021, is the journey very short? No. Do we find those Anganwadis and Ashram Shalas well ventilated? The structures are well constructed. Are the helpers and workers well recruited? The answer is big no. So here we are talking about ECC in top of that system, which is completely not there. ECC is, we are talking of NEP, the implementation of training programs on a system which is already pre-existing, which is completely hollow, a vacuum. And if we survey, we find that the Anganwadis are dark room, non-ventilated, furnitures are not there, and mostly they are combating with the child hunger and malnutrition, expecting mothers, or even the family planning programs and all that. And in this also, top of that, we are talking about where already Tania ma'am spoke about it, that Anganwadi workers will be trained with 10+2. Those who are 10+2, they will be provided with 6 months training programs, and those who are below that will be provided with 1-year diploma courses. Now, when this is possible, when already the helpers and workers are working in the system, they are already knowing the system, and top of that, that objective can be constructed. We are talking about a system which will be formed over a system which is not existing. And also it is talking about that it will be through digital distance mode of using DTH channels, smartphones, allowing teachers to acquire ECC qualifications with minimal disruptions to their current work. Now the question arises, all the remote villages of our country, India, do have the network connection. If they really had, then today's examination, conducting of examination, question mark on online classes. Why it is questioned? It is questioned because of unavailability of the resources. Then Anganwadi workers, they will be acquiring this kind of training programs through this, based on this net, which is already a question mark. And if the survey is also done, as I took this topic and this topic was provided to me, I spoke to some of the Anganwadi workers of remote villages of Nagothane, because 22 years I was placed at a very remote village of Maharashtra. So immediately I spoke to many Anganwadi workers, helpers, and also teachers. They said, yes, it is all our smartphone or the phone which they use, which is their personal. And how many of the helpers and workers do acquire those smartphones and those network accessibility, where there is a big question mark. And also the helpers and workers are on incentive basis. I have just 10 minutes to speak about it. The complete data is available on net, where complete information is there about what are the rates and what are the existence of the system. What are the motivation levels of those workers and helpers, those who are going to work. And
conclude. Please conclude. Lovely.
So, on top of that, the state government shall prepare cadres. Also, it is shall prepare. It is not existing. So, and the cadres will be looking for this continuous professional development of all the teachers and the helpers and the workers. So the main point and the main challenge we do exist is the workers working, or the helpers, those who are working in the Anganwadis, they are just class 10 passed or below that. Will they be oriented properly for this kind of objective of ECCE, where the system do not exist? Because that is how, if we go through the annual program implementation plan of 2020, no, I'm not talking of 10 years plan. I'm talking of the July, August implementation plan, which has been circulated by the government. So and if their scheme, and also the Anganwadi workers, they work under different schemes like Poshan Abhiyan, then integrated child protection services, scheme of adolescent girls, and their one objective is school dropouts. So ECCE, what we are talking of, this teachers education or teachers training, it is under that school dropouts. When I spoke to the teachers and the helpers and workers of Anganwadis, they are only focusing on school dropouts instead of the cognitive and the motor skill development, what we are trying to address. And I would conclude with a case study which I received, which I read, and it states probably that will make the things very clear, that it states that in Bangalore, there is a village which is a role model, which is a model for entire India. And it states that the walls of the bathrooms and toilets are all well decorated with cartoon characters, Mickey Donalds, and so on. The walls of the Anganwadis are well painted with Swami Vivekananda and great personalities like Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. But the question is, it states that all the facilities in the Anganwadi centers were created with the help of the donors and various organizations in the village. So where did the money go, which were invested from 1975 till date under this child development and combat hunger and malnutrition? So Anganwadi workers, Sujata, and also the name has been mentioned in that case study, and Moini helped 23 children only with the support of the donors from the village. So there I felt that when we are talking about teacher education, teacher development, we are talking about revamping over a system where the system below is all hollow and is just a dream project. So thank you, all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think you have a very, very clear facts and all the things related to Anganwadis. And over to you, Tania ma'am, for final comments. Yes.
I'll just summate it in less than a minute because we are running short of time.
Yes.
So thank you, Dr. Saha, for your your ground level insights. I must congratulate you for the points that you've highlighted. I just wish to extend from whatever I've understood from your point is, at present, India is under, in fact, the entire world is under a health crisis. And overnight, we turned into the medical staff, the rehab, professionals, they turned, even the general public. We could train them through digital initiatives or through different ways in how we have to go for COVID, fighting COVID. The WHO came up with programs. What I'm just trying to say is, when we are in a crisis, we act. We need to only understand that we are in the crisis. When we talk of the quality education of children, we are not giving quality education at the level that you focused on. And therefore, there is a crisis. When we can work on a health crisis, we can also work on an education crisis. There are a lot of, the first challenge is not for the new entrants. I think the workforce, which is already there in the Anganwadis and Ashram Shalas, we need to take immediate actions for, some bridge courses, some training programs through digital initiatives, whatever ways the NAP says. And just like frontline health workers, we have to have frontline workers at the education to train them. That's one. And very important thing is, I just like to take on 2 points more. We have to also think of, having children in these early childhood care centers and their education for children in difficult circumstances, thinking of children who are forced into prostitution, children who are, in areas where there's no access, street children. These are few children who have to brought into the purview of the early childhood care, and as well as the transgenders. And a very important key takeaway, which I completely agree with you, is you cannot invest in anything till you don't have investment in education. Let's move on from 4.4% of GDP to the long set dream of Kothari Commission of 6% GDP.
6%.
For God's sake, India needs to invest more in education. And I take this forum even to say on health. Thank you so much for your views.
Lovely. That's great.
Priyadarshi ji, I am
think.
tempted to speak one line.
Yes,
दोनों
please.
के दोनों दुर्गा जो हैं इतने गुस्से में हैं कि अब देश जरूर ठीक हो जाएगा। रश्मि मैम को सुन के लग रहा था इतना गुस्सा में हमेशा रहती है क्या आप?
But this is
ठीक हो जाएंगी
energy and
चीजें।
enthusiasm, sir.
I'll give my
Yeah.
detailed comments later, but just a quick note.
Yes, yes.
It is that forum contagious. It makes us so enthusiastic and so energetic.
Lovely. So nice of you, Rashmi ma'am. I think you have spoken out everything, whatever it was there within you. That's so wonderful. And we want this sort of, this type of you, like you only educators, educators to come up. Thank you very much, Rashmi ma'am. Let me come to let us go to the next speaker. Today's next speaker, who is going to speak on continuous professional development. Again, everyone spoke about the same thing, that continuous professional development, why it should be 50 hours, why there is a mandatory 50 hours. Let us hear from the select speaker number 4, Mr. T. Prem Kumar, principal from Indian Education School, Kuwait, and he is the mentor from the Gulf schools. Over to you, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Dr. Priyadarshi.
Namaskar.
Honorable Professor Sharma ji, namaste. Namaste, Dr. Tanya Gupta, and namaste all learned friends in the forum. I should first begin by saying that it's a coincidence that today, when I'm speaking, I have Professor Sharma ji again on the forum, because he might have forgotten, but I have not forgotten that in one of the sessions on the same topic, I had spoken, and Sharma ji disagreed on certain points on teacher education. So I'm very happy that he's again here today, but I'm not talking about teacher education today. I'm going to talk about the continuous professional development, and my dream is to finish it in 10 minutes, and I should not get a reminder from Dr. Priyadarshi Nayak. So with that in my mind, I would like to commence my presentation today. Now, I would like to talk about Justice J.S. Verma Committee report of 2012. And I'm sure Professor Sharma ji would definitely know this report, wherein he said that a broken teacher education sector is putting over 370 million children at risk. Upon inspection, scores of private teacher education institutes, as Professor Sharma mentioned earlier, they were found to have only a foundation stone in the name of infrastructure, but they have 99% pass rate. Now, this report also revealed that on an average, 85% of teachers fail to qualify the post-qualification competency test, that is a CTET. Now, the challenges and issues post-employment range from exploitative employment conditions in our country, characterized by ad hocism, poor salaries for teachers, as many participants were on the chat box, on one hand, to absenteeism and outdated teacher knowledge and skill, lack of teacher professionalism and commitment on the other. Now, instead of blaming teachers for poor learning outcomes in Indian classroom, the NEP 2020 holds these dismal conditions of teacher education, recruitment of teacher, deployment of teachers, and their service conditions, and lack of quality teachers and the motivation. Now, recognizing all these, the power of a teacher, the NEP 2020 has put in place very systemic reforms that would help teaching emerge as an attractive profession of choice for bright and talented young minds. As many participants mentioned that salaries are very poor and there's a growth for teachers. Now, the NEP 2020 proposes several reforms to empower teachers and restore high respect and status, if not at par with the Finland teachers, at least to some extent. Very high respect for these teachers have to be restored in our country. Now, as per the clause of NEP 5.15 and 5.16, it is mandatory for all school leaders and teachers to about 50 hours of continuous professional development training. As Dr. Rajiv questioned, why and how did they come to this 50 and not 20 or 10? Well, I personally feel that when someone prints it as 50 hours of professional development, a lot of research and thinking must have gone in the minds of the experts who framed the NEP 2020. Now, teachers will be given continuous opportunities for self-improvement. As someone mentioned, that the training for teachers should not be a short term. It should be a long term always, right? So these will be offered in multiple modes in schools, including in the form of local or regional or state or even national, international workshops. CBSE has conducted many international programs in the last 1 year, and where many of us have taken part in. Now, each teacher is expected to participate in at least 50 hours of CPD, and they are given opportunities. The last circular from Dr. Biswajit Saha, in the month of May, he says there are 15,000 seats available for the CPD program for teachers, and he urged all the principals to register the teachers for these programs. Every session, at least 500 teachers were participating in the training program organized by CBSE in the month of May. Another few more days to go, and all these seats are full. Now, the 5.16, clause 5.16 of NEP 2020 says, school principals and school complex leaders will have similar modular leadership management workshops and online development opportunities and platforms to continuously improve their own leadership and management skills. Unless the school leader is improving his or her skills, you cannot expect the teachers of the school to improve their skills. So it is mandatory for the school leaders also to complete about 50 hours of CPD program. Now, such leaders will also be expected to participate in 50 hours of more CPD modules every year, covering leadership and management as the main themes. Now, how to make it work is something that was asked to me to present. Well, the NEP 2020 talks of creating performance standards for teachers, clearly spelling out the role of teacher at different levels, expertise and stages, and the competencies that are required for each of those stages. Now, by 2022, a set of national professional standards for teachers will be created, and that will determine all aspects of teacher career management, including the tenure, continuous process development efforts, salary increase, promotions, and other recognitions. Just a year more, we need to wait and see the implementation of this NEP 2020. Now, NEP 2020 also talks about the teacher audit or performance appraisal that will be carried out at regular intervals. Now, it is very clear from this particular point that the promotions of teachers is not going to be the basis of the seniority, but it is based upon the teacher's strength and the teacher's skills and teacher's passion for the profession that they have taken, which means it's a good sign for all the teachers who are chatting in the box. What is our future? Well, your future is very bright, provided you invest your time in upgrading your skills and becoming a better teacher than you were yesterday. Now, to make a CPD program very effective, I recommend that make it very specific. Every teacher faces unique classroom challenges. The challenges that I face while teaching in my class is not what my friend would be facing in his or her class. So every teacher has a unique classroom challenge, and they come to work each morning with a different set of skills. Now, however, in the name of time, cost, and efficiency, many professional development opportunities for teachers are too broad. They are not specific and not relevant to most, or even many of the teachers attending, they feel it is not concerning their area of interest. So make the CPD program very specific. If you want professional development to be relevant, ask your teachers for their suggestions. There's a good chance that you will get a number of topics of interest. Now, we did this in our school here, and we had 18 CPD programs last year. And all the topics, we did not, as leaders, spell it out. We got it from our teachers. We asked our teachers, which area do you think most of your teammates are weak? Give us a topic. We sent out a Google form for them to fill it up. And then we chose 18 topics that could be covered in 2 months' time. So that gave a lot of interest for the teachers to attend and benefit. Give teachers a choice, a wide variety of choice about what and how they can learn. Give different options for workshops or courses they can take. You can go to the COE Delhi and see the number of topics that they have. So not every teacher is going to take all the topics over there. They will choose a topic of their liking. If you can't offer different options, keep the topic very simple. Don't make it very complex. Go for depth instead of breadth. Make sure that teachers come away from the session with all information they need to start using it in the classroom. Let it be classroom specific so that students benefit from the teacher's skill. Ask for feedback at the end of the session, as we are going to ask today, and then use it to continue the cycle of professional development. Ask teachers what worked during the workshop and what did not work. And they would change, and they would like to learn about more next time, so that they are part and parcel of these CPD programs. And it's not the leaders who decide, but the leaders and the participants, they together can form a team in making a CPD program work very well. Make it an engaging session. Most teachers will tell you that they don't enjoy being treated like students. They are educated professionals, understand that. So a trainer in a session cannot treat the participants as students in a classroom. So in this scenario, it's unlikely that the session is going to be very meaningful or impactful or inspire change in the participants. So a lack of engagement is just as fatal for teachers as it is for students in the class. Students will say most often, this teacher is boring. This teacher is very interesting. Similarly, even the teachers who attend your in-service program will also brand the presenter as boring or very interesting. Teachers need to be interested and engaged, just like their students. Teachers learn in different ways and respond differently to the auditory, kinesthetic, written, or visual learning methods. So try out these things during the CPD programs. There should be clear outcomes, and it should be relevant and targeted. And it should be handled by experts. It should be created, the module should be created by an expert practitioners in the education field. And it should be highly engaging. It should be a two-way interactive session to make it a highly impact a CPD program. And make always a CPD program ongoing. This is called continuous professional development. Many schools did conduct 1 or 2 programs and they say that the CPD program for the academic session is over. No, plan it out for the entire academic session in a very phased manner so that teachers don't feel stressed and teachers don't feel pressurized and spend too much of time of theirs on this. So phase it out, plan it meticulously, and take the help of people in the industry. Personalize these CPD programs, because if personalized learning works for students, so why shouldn't it work for teachers? So any professional development program plan should be set out with individual learning goals for educators on a short-term or a long-term basis, and give clear steps for achieving them. The school leaders must sit down with their educators of their schools and determine what factors should influence their individual plans. What subjects do they teach? Find out. What age group do they handle? Find out those details, and then plan a CPD program. Now, to end finally, the secret of success is to be ready when your opportunity comes. For Indian teachers, time has come to seize the opportunity and become makers of their own destiny. To do this, dream and work very hard to achieve your dreams. Become an aware and enthusiastic and empowered practitioner. Share your ideas, grow by experimenting and researching. Gain insights also from thoughts, beliefs, and experience of your peer practitioners. Enjoy your journey by forging beautiful relationships with generations of learners who transition through classroom and remain a lifelong learner. This was said even by Dr. Priyadarsini, that be a lifelong learner. And I endorse his opinion and say learning ends at the grave. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think so beautifully you have narrated. Fantastic, sir. You are a true lifelong learner, I believe, and you usually take a lot of sessions in CBSE, and I believe the capacity building or the CPD program, which everyone were discussing why it was required for 50 hours, I think we have come to a conclusion. Yes, something might be into some ethics. This has been planned, and very truly this need to be, whatever program, whatever trainings are there, but it need to be planned by the school leaders very meticulously, so that all educators, they plan out the, as in the form of a calendar, it should be planned in the school, and this is going to help it out. Ma'am, I'll take your quick feedback. Over to
Thank you, Mr. Prem Kumar sir, for it's been really wonderful hearing your insights, and I really don't have much to add. What Dr. Priyadarshi says, I do. I especially liked the idea where the teachers, pave their way forward for what they want for continuous professional development. And the feedback, in fact, works as a feed forward. That's something very beautifully said. I have just one little addition that though we leave things on the teachers, but now since we are, into the digital era, and we are now, so we are not very good at course content creation. So that's one area I think where continuous professional development is required. And I think all educational institutions, whether schools or higher education institutions, must create a compulsory school fund or an institutional fund, because on the ground reality, when teachers are going for professional development, there are always places where they are not paid. So just other than besides doing professional development programs for them at your institute, even if they want to do something out, so that kind of full, a fund should be created where they can go for exploring, these other continuous professional development workshops and programs. So that's also, thank you so much. Pleasure listening to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Dear all educators, it was wonderful going. I know time is very short. We have already crossed, but we have very, very good speaker, last speaker, Dr. P. Ravi, who will be speaking about promotion, action, research, and publication amongst the school teachers and principals. Let me cordially invite, with regards, Dr. P. Ravi, former Regional Director, NIOS. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Namaste, everybody, and pranam to Professor C.B. Sharma, sir, and my college senior, Mr. Prem Kumarji from Kuwait now. It's a privilege that we keep meeting virtually now in this wonderful forum. And thank you, Dr. Priyadarshi, for creating this type of an opportunity to interact the like-minded people, who are coming out with the wonderful suggestions. So today's topic, whether it's very close to our Professor Sharma's heart, he always talk about, the action research. I still remember he has sent 50,000 rupees to all the regional centers of, NIOS and asked everybody to do a kind of an action research. Only then you all can do something for the organization. This is how it's very rare such type of administrator or any state level they have come out like that, sir. I still remember that, sir. And it's actually, see, you all know that I don't need to give a definition of what action research is that. But one thing today in this, the policy which we are discussing about, the new education policy, and it's everywhere it's trying to emphasize that it is quality improvement. What is this quality? Is it an accident? Can something happen all of a sudden? It is a very careful, research or kind of introspection. You do a lot of things and you select the best out of that, and which is workable to you, which actually, meets or it close to your heart. Then we feel that it's a very quality stuff. So when it comes, this small research, which we call it as action research, it can be a case study. These are all certain very important inputs given for any organization. See, when it comes to the school which we all the speakers have said, the school means the teacher. It's actually the teachers are going to translate all these policies into action. But there are many things they are doing it, but we do not have any record of that. Just imagine 15 lakh schools across the country, so many teachers, and we always work on this crisis mode or firefighting mode, solve the problem and bhul jayenge. That's all. Are they not very important resource? And we keep, sometimes, I don't know if I am not exaggerating it. The number of educationists visited the Finland, probably it will be more than the population of that country. We all the way went, the education minister in every state or union territory who takes the oath, he said, yes, I will travel to Finland. I will just come with all the formulas and then I'll try to implement. It is all totally wrong. I am totally disagree with this. We are the nation with such a huge diversity. In fact, the whole world can learn something. Do the Finland has got the concept of single teacher school? Our land has got. Do they know what actually the learnings can come out of that from single teacher who is handling that 1 to 5th standard? And there are a lot of learning theories can come out of that. And we have been actually, our system is going on in such a way, we do not have even an alternate or even slightly tweaking what this Bloom's taxonomy is. 1948, what he said that we are continuously following, we do not have any research findings to even make a slight alteration in that. And this is the way we actually, our system, our mentality has grown that, such a way that something told in from the West, that is the truth, we have to follow it. But our NEP says, now we have to create a Bharat-centric education. We have not researched what Bharat-centric is. If anything has to be that, now suppose we say that the language has to be now, additional language has to be taught in the schools. We don't even disagree or we agree, simply just we keep on talking, but nothing is coming out of it. But whereas in German, they say that I need to learn Sanskrit to crack the so many codes. They are teaching, but we are not able to do, even if locally, if even school can take a decision. If they do a small research on saying that by teaching this local, by teaching these are the language. I found this in the 6 months time, I found there is a variation in the boys thinking capacity. I found by teaching Sanskrit that his mathematics calculation power has increased. Why not that school can come out with a small research? Why not the teacher can produce the small report? Why not the school can encourage this type of thing? I still remember when I was a principal of Navodaya schools, I have taken a decision that every staff meeting, it is not simply mudslinging and all those things. I just told them one good practice of that month, any innovative practice, anything done by one particular teacher has to share. That is a simple golden rule. So every staff meeting is nothing but it's an information session. Everybody will come, sir, I tried this. I have done a case study of this boy. I found this is a problem on which why he is not doing so. I was really finding out there are many problems were solved. And whenever it's my, what I experienced, I'm just sharing with that. Navodaya Vidyalayas, you know that, almost 26 years I was there. I was 16 years, I was a principal there. It's a really hot plate. We do not know what will happen next moment. So you have to be always that nobody will give solution from outside, only you have to find out. So what I have just done that, I told my teachers that all these problems, whatever it comes, we are the solution for that. We need to create. How it will create? Only we have to do a minor research. For that, we need to create a question of, see, first of all, even what the skill is lacking among the teachers is we need to even do not know how to prepare a good questionnaire. See, this is the problem. You found that one particular problem is persistent in your campus. You just frame 10 questions, just conduct a survey, find out what is the reason that, and find a solution for that. You don't need to now wait for the NCERT or NEPA to do a research and then give us the, the solution for that. It is your local problem. And this is one more thing that we need to develop the culture among the teachers and the principal is we must teach the teachers to think, you can think globally, but ultimately we have to act locally. What is every school is different. I cannot compare my JNV Shimoga with the Delhi Public School in Delhi or in Noida, school from Noida. Every school is like thing, but it's like a human body. You need to have a complete close observation of that. Kahan dard ho raha hai, isko kaise karna hai, kaun si exercise karna hai, all those things you have to discover. That is not the formula to be given from outside. This national education policy is a general formula what is given that. Yes, ye sab karenge matlab that we are expected to see a kind of growth or expected thing. But if it is to realize it has to come from the every unit. That is, every school. Every school means it's every teacher has to play a major role in that, for which the principal should play a pivotal role, in encouraging this type of things. And he should be in relation with the local education authorities. They should send it. The principal should say, sir, this is the finding of my school. Today we found out that the reason a new method of teaching mathematics, my maths teacher has come out with that. He should be very proud enough to publish that at least one-page information, send it to SCRT. In turn, SCRT will follow to the NCERT. And for all those things, we have the mechanism, like we have a Savodaya school complex. This is not just a meeting, hi, and having tea and then going. No, whenever we meet that, I think Savodaya can play a wonderful role. A cluster of 10 to 15 schools can harmoniously come together and do a local research. See, mostly the Savodaya are actually, they are all the cluster schools of the neighborhood. It's not that one school from Delhi and connected to Chennai. So you are more localized. You will be able to address all those problems. And I am telling you, these Savodayas can play a major role and give them the rewards, recognition. See, we don't need to give any kind of a monetary benefit to the teachers. If what the odd earned is work, if it is recognized and is been in a different forum, I am telling you, we can send volumes of information to Finland, I'm telling you. They have to come here. We can convert our India as the education tourism. You name anything, we have a different terrain. No other country has got such type of terrain. No other country has got such type of divergent population. They have small kind of, I think some only few million population, like in a laboratory, guinea pigs, we do some sort of experiment and they come out with the theory and we are just following that. I'm sorry to make this type of comments in this form, but we have a plenty of people. We have a lot of people who have experience. We need to find a solution and come out. And I feel locally, every state, SCRT can play a pivotal role, and they should be made accountable. It is not that they have a number of diet centers and number of schools, principals, as Mr. Prem Kumar ji was telling that, let us now, they should be given the job of this CPD, that continuous professional development. It's just not the mere formality, that it should be based on the research. How that every school should do some sort of research. Yes, this is the need of my teachers. There are 15, this Sagodaya should come. I found in this group, we want now our technical skill of this. We want some data analysis skill of my teachers. We want questionnaire preparation of the skill. Let the SCRT do that. They are meant for that. So this is how we need to connect them and all those things. And, the technology part, it has to be actually given more importance to them. And I feel this type of small action research, what is happening, it is a tool for tweaking your curriculum. There is nothing hard and fast. It's I don't know where that CBSE told, no, you have to biblically follow all these things. Nothing like that. You can introduce 15 to 20% of your local needs. You do not. I sometimes surprise if that in a village I go there, I ask them that what is the importance of this temple? None of the people are able to even tell. Do you think that somebody from United States will come and tell that probably they are doing better research than India than us? This is what happened. If the local boy and girl of that particular village do not know, is not proud of that particular place, I feel that it's something. This is because we don't have that research, the culture in the grassroots level. And I felt it also. Sometime when I asked some people, where are you from? He will tell the nearest town or a city. He will say, I'm from Chennai. If you ask from Delhi, you will ask Chennai. Are you from Chennai? No, it's there from around 100 kilometers away from that. What is that? After all, it's a very small village. Is that we feel shame to say that about that. He doesn't have the data. If I ask him, do you have what you can tell about your, the village? You are studied in that school. Do you have any information? No. He's studying national curriculum, but he doesn't have the local knowledge. So this type of action research will provide more and more opportunity for the educationists and the local edu leaders to educate the children in such a way that they feel proud of their own motherland where they are born. And then they will add a beauty to their country, and they will keep our Bharat in a very, very bigger level. So I'm due to, time restriction. I'm restricting many of my thoughts already. We crossed around 10-15 minutes. Kindly pardon me. I could not say everything, but maybe some other occasion I'll tell you. But thanks for the wonderful opportunity. I think we should all think in this line. Research and mini research or the action research should be the part and parcel of our education system. Thank you.
So truly insightful, and I think within 10 minutes, whatever you have spoken, it was so marvelous. It has really touched. You have really covered entire, whatever you're saying in 10 minutes. Over to you, over to Tanya ma'am for the final comment of the topic promoting action research and publication amongst school teachers and principals.
Thank you so much for your views. Truly agree that research has to be central, because whenever we are looking for any change, our own very inherent changes, we have to find out where we need to improve. And even at teacher education level, sir, even our, like a lot of people believe that even at the undergraduate teacher education program, the research is not for them, like, even at only at the master's level or at a PhD program. So even very small case studies during internships. So the orientation to research is very important, and truly endorse your views, and really grateful, sir, for all the points that you've shared, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. I think we are almost 20-25 minutes delay, but certainly would love to hear from Professor C.B. Sharma, sir, your final view. I think we had a wonderful discussion on all the 5 topics so beautifully and to the point, from the heart. It has come up, all the things. It was so marvelous. Sir, your view on today's all the discussions, and finally what document has to be made on these particular reforms in teacher education. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Priyadarshi ji. I think today's session has been the longest, and we have exceeded by the maximum. We are already 22 minutes late. Ahead of the scheduled time. लेकिन बात कहां से शुरू करूं राजीव जी? कोरोना में सर फूटना था, हाथ कैसे टूट गया? हम तो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे सर फूटेगा। आपने झाड़ू जरूर ठीक से नहीं लगाया होगा।
सर क्या करें?
But anyway, that's
दीवार
on
में
a
हाथ को
serious
ज्यादा
note.
जोर से मार दिया था एक्साइटमेंट में।
I think this is the most important topic and closest to my heart, and I think it's my expertise as well. But then we have little time. I will comment on a few. See, expectation was you will tell us what you can do. We know about the problems, and that is why we have made provisions in the policy.
Yes.
We know Anganwadis are in a bad shape. Rashmi ma'am, what can you do? Can you adopt 5 Anganwadis as a school leader? We want to have clusters. We want the schools to emerge as leaders. So one of the schools in the vicinity will be a leader, and then other schools will be attached to it. And for that, the private public have to come together. At some places, maybe a private school will be the leader. Government schools will be only clubbed to that. So there's no question of government school leading or private school leading, but then what is the role that the various schools can take? And that fulfills my dream, your dream, and our dream. What is that dream? Schools must emerge. You know the job, you know children, you know teachers, you understand what is the training need. Rashmi ma'am, we wanted to hear, I have been to Anganwadis. I have been to Anganwadis. I have traveled extensively. I have done extensive study on Anganwadis. They are in a bad shape. पता नहीं आप गई हैं, देखी होंगी, खिड़कियां नहीं है, दरवाजे नहीं है, बैठने को कुर्सियां नहीं है, वहां जमीन में बैठते हैं, रात में वहां पर बकरी और गाय बांधी जाती है। ऐसे तो आंगनवाड़ी हैं। लेकिन as an optimistic nation, what can we do? What can we do? That is what we want to hear. You, and very good, you said you have traveled to various parts of Maharashtra. But why do we keep referring to Finland? Because it has done well. I know it is a nation of 6 crore population, nothing comparable to India. I am fortunate. ये थोड़ा arrogance, हम तो इसको arrogance मानते हैं जब लोग कहते हैं I've been to Finland. लेकिन हमको बुलाया गया था रवि. They invited me to visit their schools. Normally when you visit, I'm coming to a very serious point. Normally when you visit Finland and you visit your schools, you have to pay a fees. You cannot visit their schools. Do you know that? They charge fees for visiting their schools. Do we have schools where we can do that? Why can we not have such models? In fact, today's session was geared towards that. Give ideas. हम क्या क्या कर सकते हैं? हम ऐसे schools emerge कर सकते हैं क्या? Supposing, let me name, supposing Jaipuria School Nai Mumbai has been or is taken as a model, start that process. Say, if you want to visit and see my processes, you will have to pay 200 rupees per person for 2 hours visit. See whether we succeed. Why am I saying that? We keep talking about some, I think Tanya ma'am raised the question of financing of education. Read a very, very good article by Geeta Gandhi Kingdom. She says government is shouting 10 lakh teachers. There are shortage of 10 lakh teachers. She says you have excess of 22 lakh teachers in the schools. Very good study. Recently it has come. Very good study. There are schools, more than 30% schools with less than 60 students in the country. Government sector. We should work on that. And the most important thing is that we must document these. See, all your good experiments. I'm very happy Prem Kumarji has talked about many experiments that he did. Premji, please document and circulate to all the participants of the SEDEX. How can they arrange? How can they organize? And I can tell you, once you share your ideas, many of the SEDEX speakers or the school leaders will come up with very new ideas that can be added to it. And that is how we will emerge as a leading nation. Hamare schools vibrant honge. Kyunki I know we are 18% of the world population and the student population is 6 times the population of Canada. 3.5 करोड़ आबादी है कनाडा की, 33 करोड़ बच्चे हैं मेरे स्कूल में। क्या क्या तुलना हो सकती है? तो हम अगर लग जाते हैं इस काम पे तो हम बहुत बड़ा रिसोर्स बना के आ सकते हैं। आई थिंक द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज education is a big business. There is more money in education than any sector. We have not really worked on it. We keep telling the government, spend more, spend more. Let me share a very important fact with you. We started with education cess, I think 2005. Do you know how much money has been collected through cess and not spent? उस पैसे को खर्च कर दीजिए, देखिए क्या होता है। And there is a condition with the education cess, that money cannot be spent anywhere, so that is being kept or that is stored in the storehouse of government. Let us start talking about it. Where is the cess money? If that is spent, Tanya, I think we won't have any shortage of money for education. So I think we need to discuss, we need to share ideas, and like what we are sharing today. I would very strongly recommend, Rashmi, please document all that you have seen. Please write that, put it in the touch education of the next issue. We all want to read it, what happened. इसी तरह जो दूसरे एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए हैं उसको डालना बहुत जरूरी है. That is why I think Ravi took this topic of action, research and publication. We are lagging in this country. School principals, when they write and that is published, everybody takes very seriously in other countries, and that is important. And you must write. हम लिखते हैं तो हम थ्योरी लिखते हैं, ये होना चाहिए. आप लिखेंगी तो आप बोलेंगी ये हुआ, इसमें ये कमियां थी, इसको आगे ऐसे ले जाना है. जो अर्चना जी ने बहुत बढ़िया उठाया था क्वेश्चन, पीसा, नैस एंड असर. Again, that will require a whole debate. What is asar? A survey on a small sample with ulterior motives. And PISA, we did badly, but what were we testing? We cannot be tested on our European standards. But against both these, how did NAS perform so well? I don't trust either. Although I have been part of NAS, National Assessment, I was part of the whole planning process right through the beginning to the end as chairman of NIOS. मेरा ये कहना है, एक इंडिपेंडेंट बॉडी को दे दो ना. हमने प्रपोज किया है आपके लास्ट टच एजुकेशन में, देखिए हमने कहा है कि नो, NAS should not be done by government. The government should decide on the parameters and give it to a private party कि अब तुम करके हमको दे दो कि हमने कैसा परफॉर्म किया, तब देखो. My whole take on this would be, if CED takes up a NAS, a small, even if a small, but a very objective one, ASER is not believed, is not trusted. You go and watch the programs on various TV channels. The day ASER report has been released, I have taken part in many. The government representative will come and oppose it tooth and nail. क्योंकि हर बार हर ASER रिपोर्ट गवर्नमेंट को डॉक में खड़ा करता है. क्यों? मेरा ये कहना होगा, एक इंडिपेंडेंट बॉडी के तौर पर अगर CED इसको करता है, और हम लोग, you have fantastic school leaders here, I can see, put them on the team, let them do and come up as a CED report on school quality. We must do it, we must emerge, we have the talent and we have the whereabouts of doing it. So teacher education is the hub, the key, and we must work on it. एक important aspect था जो आज हम सुनना चाह रहे थे, वो आया नहीं. 4-year B.Ed प्रोग्राम में क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन होगा स्कूल का? देखिए फिनलैंड कहते हैं, I have seen that again very closely. Half the time teacher is under the classroom teacher. We send teachers for practice teaching. There they don't sit for practice teaching, for learning. That's it. First the teacher will sit and learn, then teach. The classroom teacher will watch him. The university professor will sit and watch him. You are going to hand over a whole generation, 3 generations to that teacher. How are we going to prepare? What I will say, Archana ma'am, think over it again. What you were talking about, and others as well. कि हमारा ये पूरा का पूरा स्कूल अटैचमेंट क्या होना चाहिए 4 ईयर में, उसमें स्कूल का क्या रोल होना चाहिए. आज देखिए एक बड़ी बात है, मैं आपसे शेयर करूं. जब भी हम डिस्कस करते हैं इन चीजों को, हमेशा एक बात आती है कि स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स को ट्रेनिंग कहाँ है ट्रेन करने का. क्लासरूम टीचर के हाथ में ट्रेनी टीचर को कैसे दे दें, हमको इसका जवाब बनाना पड़ेगा। हम तैयार हैं क्या टीचर के ट्रेनिंग करने के लिए? आर स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स, स्कूल लीडर्स prepared to train teachers? Are they trainers as well, or are they trained only to handle schools? Let us do that 50 hours. Prem Kumar ji, it started with 120 hours. That was my proposal, because all IGNOU courses are 4 credit, 120 hours. Finally, after a whole discussion, we came it to 50 hours, and that's again a long discussion. I won't test your patience anymore, because अगर आप हमको छोड़ देंगे, रोकेंगे नहीं, तो मैं बोलता ही चला जाऊंगा. Thank you all very much. There is so much to discuss about teacher education, but then it is very important for you. Come up with ideas, assert your position, chart out what all schools will do. What is responsibility will schools take in training teachers, because you are going to employ them. You have to take them as teachers. So what you expect and what will be your role. बहुत अंत में हम ये बात कह के खत्म करेंगे. आप कहेंगे सर मेरी बात कौन सुनता है? हम कह के भी क्या करेंगे? राजीव जी मुस्कुरा रही हैं, अर्चना मैम भी मुस्कुरा रही हैं. नहीं, मैं बारी बारी से प्रधानमंत्री को अब कोट कर रहा हूं. प्रधानमंत्री ने संसद में 20 फरवरी को कहा था कि साहब लोग हमको कहते हैं कृषि कानून क्यों ले आए, किसने मांगा था? हमने जनधन योजना लाया, लोग पूछे कि क्या किया आपने, क्यों ले आए? एज प्राइम मिनिस्टर मेरा ये काम है, हमको जनता ने चुना है कि हम ये काम करें. आपको हम लोगों ने प्रिंसिपल बनाया है, अब आप हमारे ऑनरेबल स्कूल प्रिंसिपल हैं. आप लाखों बच्चों का भविष्य तय करते हैं, इसलिए आपको यह अधिकार मिलता है कि सरकार को कहें कि सुनिए टीचर हम ट्रेन करेंगे और ऐसे करेंगे, आपको नहीं आता है. आपने जो किया है 1993 से एनसीटी के थ्रू, वो बहुत ही बेकार काम किया है. आपके पॉलिसी में लिखा जाता है अब आप बैठिए, अब हम करेंगे, हम करके दिखाते हैं. जरा जोर से एक बार कहिए ये बात और देखिए क्या होता है. मैं हवा बदलते देखा हूं पिछले 1 साल में. आज देखिए हर टीवी चैनल पर और हर अखबार में प्रिंसिपल्स का नाम लिया जा रहा है. हम लोगों ने शोर मचाना शुरू किया था. आप बचाइए, और ये देश हित में है, ये आपके हित में नहीं, मेरे हित में नहीं, ये देश हित में है. और प्रधानमंत्री भी इसको कहते हैं. आप सबके बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं, और प्रियदर्शी जी का आभार, उन्होंने ये मौका दिया और आपसे मैं अपने विचार साझा करता हूं.
Fantastic. I think all speakers they deserve a big round of applause. मैं सभी educators को यही बोलूंगा कि wonderful, बहुत ही बढ़िया. And I believe to translate the particular vision of NEP 2020 under the आत्मनिर्भर भारत प्रोग्राम, इसमें शिक्षकों का, हम एजुकेटर्स का, हम एडुलीडर्स का मुख्य रोल होता है, और मुख्य रोल होना भी चाहिए. आज अगर ये ट्रेनिंग का बात करते हैं, आप स्कूल एजुकेशन 50 आवर्स हो, 100 आवर्स हो, ये इसका मुखिया स्कूल लीडर होना चाहिए. हम ही डिसाइड करेंगे ये ट्रेनिंग कैसा होना है. ये अगर जब हमको ये अल्टरनेटिव, ये अथॉरिटी मिलेगा, तब आप जो बोल रहे हैं शिक्षक आज चांस में आ गया, वो चांस वाला वो टीचर भी वो चॉइस वाला उभर के आ जाएगा. वही टीचर जो कुछ नहीं कर पाता था वो भी ऊपर में आ पाएगा, जब ये लिबर्टी, ये अथॉरिटी हम स्कूल शिक्षकों और हम स्कूल प्रिंसिपल्स को मिलेगा. इसी बात में आई थिंक इट वाज अ वंडरफुल टॉक. आई मस्ट कंग्रेचुलेट द एंटायर पीपल, दोज वे देयर, दे वर फॉर्चुनेट एनफ to listen about this topic. ऐसे टॉपिक डिस्कशंस, ऐसे स्पीकर्स, मैं तो अपने फाउंडेशन की तारीफ नहीं करता हूं, लेकिन मैं बहुत फाउंडेशंस में, बहुत प्रोग्राम में अटेंड करता हूं, लेकिन आई बिलीव द डिस्कशन विच हैपेंस हियर. कुछ ऐसे फीडबैक लिखे हुए हैं चैट बॉक्स में कि सर मैंने भी तो लास्ट 40 आवर्स से आपका सीईडी का ऐसे ही सीपीडी प्रोग्राम अटेंड करता आ रहा हूं. सो इट इज वंडरफुल. सो आई बिलीव वी आर ऑल वंडरफुल, एंड आई थिंक ये अभी in work it has to be transformed. हमको इसको करके दिखाना है. That is the mission of entire we all educators. और आशीर्वाद रहेगा शर्मा सर का और अदर लोगों का, तो जरूर ये चेंजेस भी आगे आएगा. So friends, with these words I must thank Professor CB Sharma from core of my heart. Madam, today we had our co-chairperson Dr. Tania Gupta ji for her wonderful comment. I think हर speaker के बाद जो उन्होंने बोला points को रखा, it was so wonderful that we can make a wonderful vision document into it. I must thank Archana Narayan madam, Rajiv Garg sir, Rashmi Rekha madam, T. Prem Kumar sir and P. Ravi sir, they were always they all are in my heart. I think they were part and parcel to this Center for Education Development Foundation, and I bless that like this we'll have a lot of other discussions to happen in the days to come. I hope all educators, edu leaders, those who are watching this today's session, you might have enjoyed. Put forth, keep it your intact that tomorrow is the last day. We'll be discussing on making Bharat Center schooling. So friends, this is the last session of this NEP. After this, we are having a new batch starting with professional development capacity building for 40 hours in the month of July. So we'll meet soon. So thank you very much, all of you. So nice to have you this evening. Take care of yourself. आप अपना बहुत अच्छा ध्यान रखें. फिर मुलाकात होगा कल 3:45 पर. तब तक के लिए आज्ञा दीजिए. नमस्कार.